Welcome, internet world. So today, I haven't made a video in quite a while. 2-3 weeks, a month maybe. So what I'm going to talk about today, something I happen to be doing right now. I keep wanting to look up there for the camera. This is homemade QuickClot. Okay. We bought these at the Walmart. Okay, before I get to this, let's start with some more basic stuff. I ordered this. This is, I have to go see what it is. Hold on, I'm going to pause this. Okay, folks, I'm back. This is kaolin clay. I'm not sure. It kind of comes out. It's kind of fine. It's dusty. This is kaolin clay. And what you do, I've made two different products. First, we're going to start with this. Let's actually go down here. This is about 2 grams of that clay. Okay. It's about 2 grams. No, it's not sterile. But what you would do with this, if somebody was bleeding pretty bad, is you would open this and you would pour this onto the wound. Whoops. Make sure to get the air out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of these in each of our kits. Now, some of these little baggies have more than 2 grams. Some probably closer to 3 or 4. I think I made enough for 4 or 5 for each of us, and there's plenty of this clay left. Second thing I did, see, is this the one I did it with? No, it's not the one I did it with. So that goes back in there. I've done it with this one. All it is, it's a rolled gauze bandage. And by the way, even though these were inexpensive, they seem to be pretty well made. It surprised me. Now I'm using a bread pan. Now all I'm doing, I'm taking a spoon, a little less than a spoonful is 2 grams. But right now I'm not measuring grams, I'm just measuring this. What I do is I take a spoonful, and I don't need this much. You know, and then I kind of sprinkle it around. And then what I do is I push on it with my fingers, and I move it around in there, because first I put some on the bottom of the pan, and then I pour some on top, and I push it around, kind of knead it with my fingers, knead the clay into the bandages with my fingers. And again, this is not sterile, but I guess, are you going to worry about being sterile while you're bleeding to death, or are you going to worry about stopping the bleeding first? I would stop the bleeding first. There are antibiotics in this world, you know, and you can make some yourself. There are actually a couple of books I would recommend on that subject. One is Herbal Antibiotics, the other is Herbal Antivirals. And you know, I just put it in here. Like I said, I just kind of push it around, knead it a little bit. And then what I do is I take this out carefully. I have this clay all over my pants now. And I dump it out into my hand. Not all of it, because there's too much to fit in my hand. Then what I do is I take this and kind of get it on the bottom of the pan. And I take this and I do things with it. But I want this clay to be everywhere in this. You're impregnating the bandage. And then I go like that. And I knead it some more. As again, you want that clay in there. And you want it everywhere. So, spread it around in there. So I need to get a external hard drive, because I'm out of space and I don't know how long I have to make this. So I want like a 2 gig or higher hard drive so I can make videos and save entire YouTube channels. But I do this, I'm just going around and doing this. And I knead it a little bit, I rub it, I push it down, spread it around. Again, you want this clay everywhere in the bandage, not just in 1 or 2 spots, not just on one side. Again, it's not sterile, but like I said, are you going to worry about bleeding to death, or are you going to try and stop the bleeding and then get medical attention? Because if you don't stop the bleeding, you may die. And like I said, there are antibiotics that you can use. Some you can make yourself, some you can buy yourself. So because shit, excuse my language, stuff's about to happen in this country, and not in a good way. Trump has already said he would sign red flag legislation into law. So I don't know what's going to happen when that happens, when that takes place. I've contacted my legislators here in New Hampshire. I probably don't sound like a New Englander, but that's where I live now. I love it up here. So I'm going to do this. I'm just spreading it out, getting some in my fingers, and anyway, so I finally think I figured out the kitchen too. What I did today is that I'm gonna keep it. I moved the little butcher block island over here, so I can basically just turn around and use it instead of having to walk here and there and fro and whatever. But yeah, I'm just doing this, and what I did was, with my first one, is this one. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's some clay in the bottom. I'm going to have to find a way to reseal this. And then the clay being in there will there we go. My camera stopped, so I'm using a lot more than I really need to, but because this stuff will just keep absorbing and absorbing and absorbing. This is the stuff they use down in Texas, where I used to live, where I lived for 44 years. And the governor of Texas, a Republican, signed red flag legislation into law. Texas, of all places. But you know, so things are going to happen. I don't know what people are going to do when they start taking their private property away. You know, another thing I'll point out is someone that was a lifelong friend of my late wife's, whom I was friends with on Facebook, recently unfriended me and blocked me, probably. I don't know. And he's like really far to the left. And I had posted a meme of the only thing socialism ever made that works, and it was a picture of an AK, and he said something smart about it, and I'm like, oh, he said it's an automatic weapon. I said, no, it's not an automatic weapon, it's a semi-automatic weapon. And I pointed out a couple more facts, such as the states and cities with the strictest gun laws are the most violent, where guns are used. Of course, he didn't like that. More people are killed every year by cars than by guns. More people are killed every year by knives than by guns, but it's the guns they want to outlaw. Once the Second Amendment is gone, the other amendments go to the wayside. Think about that. So this is in here, and I'm probably about done with it. I think I've done what I can with it. It's very dusty. What I was going to say earlier is in Texas we had stock tanks for the livestock. I'm sure a lot of places have them. And this clay is one of the ingredients that you would put down into the dirt, so the water doesn't just drain out of it, so it'll collect the water. And when you make like a cistern, you can use this to use this clay to help waterproof the cistern. I remember a Japanese businessman had started building a house on Okinawa when I was a little boy, and he had a cistern, and I had never seen one before. At least I had never seen one being built, and I thought it was so cool. I'm surprised he was living in that neighborhood, because he had a really nice house, or they were building him a really nice house. And I don't remember that neighborhood being that kind of neighborhood. I mean, we were pretty well off under Okinawan standards, but we still didn't live in a wealthy neighborhood, not by any stretch. And there were people who definitely didn't live as good as we did. Even some Americans didn't live as well as we did. But anyway, so I just, and I get some in my hand and I sprinkle it over there, and, because again, you want it everywhere. So you only need 2 grams of this, which is about a spoonful, a little less than a spoonful. Put in a little plastic baggie. Now the reason I went this way, because it's cheaper in the long run to buy a bag of clay. Now the clay took a couple of months to get here, or longer, and it really starts to compact. And I bought, where did I put them? I bought some baggies. Came in this box. There's still plenty in there. I don't remember how many are in this thing. Here's one bag of baggies. So what I did is I bought the baggies, I bought the clay, bought the bandages. And what I do with the bandages, like I showed you, just rolled it back up and put it back in there. The thing is, I do need to seal it. But it was cheaper to buy the baggies and the clay and do this myself than to buy this stuff pre-made, even though the pre-made stuff is supposedly sterile. Still cheaper, and I get far more out of it than if I bought it, because Amazon sells this stuff. Actually, the bandages were from Walmart. Baggies came from Amazon. The clay came from Amazon. Now the clay came from China, so it took forever to get here. I bought my wife something for Christmas, and it took like 3 months to get here, 2.5, 3 months to get here. So, well, no, 3 months, yeah, more like 2.5 months. And I was starting to think it wasn't going to come, but it did. So, yeah, I have all this clay down here. And just pour it into my hand. By the way, in Okinawa, they or I don't know how recent it was, they found the oldest Japanese human remains. I find that fascinating. There are actually 2 sets. One I believe is a woman, and one is, I don't know what the other one was. I don't know if they know yet, but they should know. It's almost complete skeleton, and they found it in a cave, and they showed a picture of it, of the skeleton kind of put back together. But I believe it was south, or maybe south of Naha. So, very interesting. I would love to learn more about the, how do you say, the shell, not the shell people. It was a shell mound culture, and I'd like to learn a lot more about them, but I guess there's not a whole lot that we know. The more and more I learn about Okinawa, the more and more I realize that Okinawa history and culture really does revolve around Japan. And I'm not talking about modern Japan by any means. I'm talking about, ancient Japan. And I never realized that. I always thought that there was far more of a Chinese influence than Japanese, but some of their pottery, some Okinawan pottery, actually, some very early Okinawan pottery is similar to Japanese pottery of a similar time period. So that's interesting. But anyway, so this is about ready to be rolled back up and put away for safekeeping. These will be put into our bug out bags, although, oh, it's dusty. I don't know if you can see all that dust, but I think I've done enough with that. My wife makes the best darn tea. She says I'm giving her too much credit. She says it's just like tea bags are out of a container, and I'm like, well, you put the exact right amount in, you do it the right way, and I happen to like tea, and my wife does a darn good job of it. My favorite tea is a good hot cup of Earl Grey. That's good. I can't find any loose tea, and when I find loose Earl Grey online and I look at the comments people make, and I'm like, nope, not gonna buy that. But I guess I could buy some oil of bergamot and some tea and make my own. I don't know. But anyway, so this bandage is ready to be rolled back up, and so have a great day. I hope we never need this stuff. Bye.